Welcome back to the Palm Beach North podcast, brought to you by the Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce. My name is Noel Martinez, and today we are going to get to dive into the world of Dr. Alessandra Colón. You might know her as Miss Chiropractic, right? She's the star of the new show, Crack Addicts, on TLC. Locally, we know her as a renowned chiropractor, right? Everybody knows Dr. Colón. She's involved with many community organizations, specifically LLS. Back in 2018, girl raised $60,000 in like 10 weeks. I mean, she's absolutely amazing and does so much. But even further than that, even though with all those fancy titles and all that fancy stardom, she's also one of my best friends. So today's going to be super special to me. I know this girl very well. I was very fortunate to be the best man in her wedding. And she is absolutely fierce, smart, beautiful. She is the total package. And she is fierce. Everything from beating cancer as a kid to becoming a big TV star. So I'm so proud of her. Allie, I hope I could call you Allie.
Yes,
am I allowed to call
absolutely.
you?
Absolutely. No Dr. Colón here right now.
So Allie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
So everybody's probably tuning in to hear about Crack Addicts because it's so exciting, right? Like I get goosebumps talking about it. Let's talk about that. What is Crack Addicts? Tell me about the show.
Crack Addicts is my new televised series. I'm the first chiropractor in the nation, if not just the world, to have pioneered a televised series across the nation and nonetheless on TLC, which is a huge network. So I'm super proud of that. And I'm even more proud that for the first time, we're shedding light on alternative medicine. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So wait, all right, you got to tell me the story, or you got to tell them the story. I've heard it, right? But how does Dr. Colón get selected to have her own show on TLC?
I've asked myself that, by the way, like a million times. What are the chances? Like a 1 in a million, and this one's gonna do a TV series. But truthfully, I've been doing TikTok, social media for quite some time now. They sent me an email, and I was like, delete. That's ridiculous. There's no way in heck that they just asked me if I want to do a TV series. I mean, come on, paid programming I get, but I mean, come on, really? Seriously, me in Palm Beach Gardens? And I deleted the email, and about 2 weeks later, the producer reaches back out. Hey, we reached out to you. We're interested in doing a TV series. We saw you on TikTok, and we'd love to see if you're a potential candidate. And at that point, I was like, oh, shoot, like, they're serious? I was like, okay. So we just started a casual conversation, some emails, and next thing I know, it was almost a year in the making, between Zoom meetings and interviews and just getting to know each other to see if I was the right fit for TLC. So there was a lot of behind the scenes people didn't get to see what brought me here into the stage. But overall, I'm just really excited for the opportunity. So,
all right, what is it that got you so excited about the opportunity, right? All right, yeah, you're going to be famous now. You got a big show. We get to see you on TV. But what is it about the show that got you so excited?
There was two parts, right? Because initially I was like, oh, wow, a TV show. Then I was like, wait a second. If I do a TV show, that means everybody's going to know who I am. This is totally terrifying. And nonetheless, it's about chiropractic. And not for nothing, there are a lot of, naysayers and things people have to say about chiropractic care. So I'm like, oh, wait, do I really want to do this? But, if an opportunity presents itself, it's the time to be bold and say, you know what? Don't worry about it, girl. Jump. They obviously chose me for a reason. I had to believe deeply in that and have faith that everything's going to work out the way that it should. So for whatever reason, I decided to take a leap of faith. I signed on board, and gosh, I'm really glad I did.
So I could imagine that you're getting people are reaching out to you from all over the world, right? Because this show, it's on international, right? It's all over the world, correct?
It's not. That's the
it's
crazy
not. Okay,
part.
so, all right.
It's not. It's actually just nationwide. And the first series happened. The first show comes out, and you expect, all right, TV show, stardom, celebrity, all that kind of stuff. I wasn't really mentally prepared for actually what was going to happen in my life. Literally the first day we walk into my office, I see impending doom on my girls' faces. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And they're just like this with a phone. They can't stop. And I realize, oh my God, this really hit. And the first thing they say to me is, Dr. Colón, we got a call from Australia. We got a call from Canada. We got a call from Scotland, from New Zealand. And we're going, wait, what?
Wait, how do they watch it? Like live streaming it or something? They're going on the computer, TLC's website or something and watching it?
To be honest, I have no idea. We're still trying to figure that out. I don't know if it's through the app, through YouTube, or what it might be. But nonetheless, they're reaching out from literally across the world. So I'm here thinking it was going to be this. And it became this. Which is cool. It's really cool.
I bet. So
It's cool.
you have a lot of friends that are chiropractors. So, I mean, you know everybody in that industry. What are they saying about the show?
That was my biggest fear.
Why?
That was my
Why?
biggest fear of all. You know, with what has happened to me, and I knew from the get-go, by having a TV show, I had a responsibility. And that responsibility was to shine light on a profession for the first time and do it in the right way. And to also honor the education, the philosophy of what chiropractors do, what we as doctors do. And so I definitely would be lying if I didn't say I didn't feel the pressures of that. And so I really was worried about how my peers would say, hey, did she do a good job? Hey, no. So I think more than anything, that was probably my greatest fear of all getting on the show was how it would be received, more so than just viewers. And I have to say, thank you to all the chiropractors across the nation. It has been 90%, if not 95% love, support. And I am just so grateful that, I had the president of different techniques reaching out, speaking events, conferences, chiropractors, just accolades, sending thanks and just beautiful words all day long. It's like, it's a lot. It's a lot to soak in.
It is a lot. It's a big deal, Allie. It's more than just a TV show, which is amazing. And we've talked about that before. It's a lot of pressure, right? Do you feel like you have a lot of pressure on yourself?
I have a ton of pressure.
Pressure on you. I'm sorry.
I do. I don't think anybody really prepares you for the magnitude of what this means. It's not just a TV show. It's the responsibility to get help for people worldwide, if not nationwide. It's the opportunity to keep up with it, right? And to do a good job, to shine a bright, light on my profession, to do it the right way, but also be educational and fun, and also keep to who I am, right? Because I don't want to lose sight of how I got here and why I got here and why they chose me. And I have to honor that too. But I always keep thinking and reeling it back, going to myself, what's the worst case scenario, right? What's the worst case scenario? That tomorrow it's all null and void? Okay, fine. Then if it's all null and void, then I would have already done my job, because there are chiropractors reaching out to me on a daily basis in the hundreds, if not thousands, saying, thank you, Dr. Colón. Because a patient watched your show, they walked in my office today for the first time.
Wow.
People are seeking care everywhere.
Yeah.
I get chills knowing that. Like, okay, then my job's done. That's the worst case scenario. I've already done a good job.
So what is it that people need to know about chiropractic care, right? Because there's a lot of misconceptions out there. I've heard you. Obviously, you and I are really close, so I hear it all, right? But what are some misconceptions that you hear about chiropractic care?
The first one that I'm probably going to kill them, perform jiu-jitsu, karate. I am trained in chiropractic medicine. I am not trained in jiu-jitsu. I do not cause strokes and kill people. I think we need to be more educated on what we really do. And there has been a blanket over that for a very long time in our profession. But we talk about, someone's going to stroke out on my table. Well, there's good doctors and there's bad doctors, right? But we don't talk about the millions of malpractice lawsuits that are probably out there, right? Mm-hmm. It happens in every industry. And every time you see a physician, whether it's even your dentist or your therapist, for all you know, you assume a liability. And you assume that liability as a patient every time you walk in somebody's door. And I wish people kind of understood that. I think another big connotation is we're probably not real doctors. That one I get like every other day, once a week. I don't know. I get that one.
Does it make you upset? Does it make you upset?
In the beginning, you learn to have thick skin. But I know what I went to school for. I know the hours, and I know I passed 2 national board exams. I know how hard I worked to have the title doctor, and I will always be proud of that. And there is nobody who can take that away from me. And that's another thing that we need to educate ourselves on is what is the differentiation between an MD and a DC, right? We're just experts, right? You're an expert in your field. I'm an expert in chiropractic. A surgeon's an expert in surgery. And where they might have 300 hours in pharmaceuticals, I have 3 hours in anatomy. So you tell me what's important. It's pretty cool.
So let's talk about your patients, right? Because I've known you for a really, really long time, and I know how close you are to your patients.
Yeah.
So I know locally they all mean a lot to you, but on the show, you got to see some patients that you probably wouldn't have met before, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me about the one patient that really scared you. Like you're like, oof, I was scared of this person.
Liana.
Liana. So tell me about Liana.
Liana was beautiful in her 20s. She was I think she was in episode 1 or 2? I can't remember, guys, my own episodes. She walked in, beautiful girl, cane, and she had so many things in her medical history that scared the living daylights out of me, right? Because number one thing when you're a doctor is, are there contraindications and high, I'm assuming, liability, right? And if this is a no, then what's the next step? So one of the things in her medical history was that she had these unknown seizures. As a chiropractor, this scares the crap out of me. Mm-hmm. Because what happens if something, like I adjust her and she's a seizure, I've assumed liability. Yeah. And we already talked poorly about all these things that chiropractors do, right? So she gets on my table and I'm thinking, oh God. And I start to think this is really terrifying me. I look at her medical records. I look at her x-rays. I look over her medical history, any recent MRI she's had. And at one point she says to me, I've seen a chiropractor and it made me feel good. At that point, I realized, okay, I've gained her trust. Okay, proceed, do a full examination on her. What people don't know is that behind the scenes, these exams with these patients, because they're such heavy duty cases, take hours.
So I'm glad you said that, because I was going to talk to you about that, right? Because this is someone that you're it's not like she just walked in on the street and you're in there adjusting her. No, there's a lot of work that goes into that.
Yes, you see 2 seconds on TV, but in actuality, what happens is there's hours that goes into case reviews and medical reviews. I'm out there with my textbook, like, shoot, I have to refresh my memory. She lies on the table, and long story short, I go to adjust her, and you see her on camera, her eyes just start to flutter.
I remember that show.
And
I remember that episode.
What's the first thing I think? Seizure. Oh my God. The one thing that I was totally terrified of just happened on my table. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. She opens her eyes. I tell her to focus. I bring my finger to the center. And I go, are you okay? She goes, yeah. All right. She gets her from the table. She just stands, not a single tremor, pain-free, doesn't even utilize her cane that she walked in with to walk out of the office. She was pain-free like this for days, so much so that she has her entire family buying tickets to come down to Florida so they can revisit me.
That's awesome.
And she's seeking regular chiropractic care.
She is. And where does she live?
California, I believe.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I know. See? I was sweating. I would. And it's funny because on camera you see it and you would think that I'd be so natural. No. Nope, not so much.
Yeah, totally.
That's what's so funny about it.
All right, so then what is the most extreme case you've ever seen in your career? So that one scared you.
That one scared me.
The most extreme case ever.
Amy. She was...
Was she in the on the show too?
Yes. Right,
so Amy was...
They picked some hard cases for me on the show.
That's good. I mean, that's good.
They challenged me as a doctor and as a profession. Amy, she's very tiny. She sits about, I think, roughly a little under 3 feet. And
she's the one that was getting her butt massaged. Remember?
Yeah. We joke about the finger in her butt on camera. Am I allowed to say that? It's already out there for you to see, right? She was a really complicated case because she's a case that as a chiropractor, I should never touch. That's the truth. I should never touch her. I should never adjust her. There's a lot of complications with her spine, even since birth. And I knew that going into it. But how am I going to showcase this? And what can I as a chiropractor do, right? And that's when I brought in basically a team, right? I used an activator or a low force adjustment tool to manipulate her, which was very easy to do.
What does that mean? So it's like a little gun. It looks like a little gun that kind of pushes.
Tool that we use.
Okay.
To manage the trigger points and also adjust the vertebrae. And she did feel some relief from that because she has pain in her neck. The other parts of her body I couldn't touch. They were orthopedic cases, and I knew that going into it. So I involved Dr. Brandon West, who's my doctor of physical therapy, and let him take it from there and just work on function, range of motions. And I think in a patient like this, the reality is setting small, attainable goals. I can't change their life. I can't undo everything. But maybe they can walk out with a 2 out of 10 pain instead of a 10 out of 10. And you actually see on the show once again that she literally gets up and walks while her little wheelchair. And she was pain-free for a little bit. Also, by the way, texted me about 2 days ago and is now seeking regular chiropractic care.
So how close do you get to these people? Like, do you really get to know them? Like, are you still in contact with everybody on the show?
Every single one of them. Every single one of them.
A few of them are local. Some of them are local.
There are a couple from Florida. I have plans to meet up with Matt Gable in Orlando. He was the big burly guy.
Yeah, that guy was a monster. That guy was huge.
Yeah, him and I shared the story of leukemia. We both came from a background of battling cancer. But yeah, I'm still in contact with all of them. We still joke. We still text each other. I gave them, yes, my personal cell phone. I want to keep that connection. I don't want it to be that they came in and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
So what do you think that show is going to do to your industry?
What is it not going to do for my industry? This show is everything for my industry. It's a way to show that we are endearing. I think what makes chiropractors really special more than any MD is that we get to place our hands on everybody. And there's something really beautiful about physical touch and being in someone's personal space and having them trust you with their health. We're also educating them about what we as chiropractors do. And we treat the spine, the nervous system, and that it's not the scary, crazy end-all being. And I think they're going to get to know me.
Yeah.
They're going to get to know me.
Speaking of getting to know you, let's get to know Allie a little bit. I'm going to keep saying Allie. I've been calling you Allie the whole time. But so Allie, you've lived all over the world, right? You're very, very well traveled. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about you growing up. So you're born in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, but you and I joke that I'm the whitest Puerto Rican.
You are the whitest.
Rico,
her Spanish is not even that great.
I'm the worst Spanish. I own it regardless because I got to use it in my office, by the way, guys. But definitely Spanglish. I would say more Spanglish than Spanish. But at least I try, right? But both my parents are from Puerto Rico. I have a brother who resides in New York City. I was born in California, raised in Saudi Arabia, and somehow made it back here for my late middle school, high school days in Texas. Texas led to Arizona. Arizona led to Puerto Rico, New York, Philadelphia, where Hurricane Sandy somehow landed me in Florida. But I have to say, it was my travels that really shaped me.
So why did you move all over the place? Like, what's the story behind that?
It's either oil or military, right? My dad was a petrochemical engineer and got a job opportunity to go overseas to Saudi Arabia. And it was the most beautiful part of my life. So
I know your parents. I know your parents very well, right?
Yes.
So what are your parents like? Let's tell our viewers, what are they like? What's Angel like? I can't
really
wait for him to
lucky.
watch this. Angel, we're talking about you, Angel. So talk to me about Angel, and then we'll get into La Reina.
I got really lucky, in all honesty, because I feel like I got the best of both of my parents. My mom is really hard. She really is. She's been hard on me my whole life. And
she's hard on your friends too, by the way.
Yes. Oh my God. Please don't go up against my mom. She'll put you in her place. But she's tough. And I've learned to appreciate that in my older years, because she did it out of love. But she's also the most thoughtful, most compassionate person I know. She's always thinking little cards, she goes above and beyond. I was in college and she would still come over to cook me meals and pack them in my freezer. I'm her baby. And she treats me that way, but she will tell you right now, she's my mother before she's my friend. And I really, really appreciate that about her. So I would say my work ethic and my compassion and love come from her. My dad is also very hardworking, but he's the life of the party. He's the life of the party. He is always there to have fun. And that's one thing I learned from him. He taught me how to dance through life. And that's the truth.
So we talked a little bit about it. We touched on you beating cancer. You were little. You were 8?
No, I was 14.
14 years old.
Yes.
So walk me through that. How did you find out? Where did that come from? You just woke up one morning and
Those were probably the darkest days of my life. You would think that after 20 years, it gets easier to talk about. It doesn't, by the way. I had just moved from Saudi Arabia. I knew nobody. I was, the new girl in school. And within, I would say maybe 8 to 10 months, I started developing a cough. I was in the middle of sports and tennis and gymnastics. And, my mom just noticed and she said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And the cough, we tough it out. I wasn't have a temperature. You go back and play gymnastics. 3 months had gone by and the cough didn't really reside. My mom didn't feel like she was getting the answers that she wanted. And that's when the fever started to ensue. The night sweats started to ensue. And the doctors said that my night sweats were just hormones. So again, she went on her own. My mom's in the medical industry. So she decided to get a third opinion. And after I was diagnosed with bronchitis, walking pneumonia, a million other things, someone finally decided to do a chest x-ray. I remember this, and this is why I say this. I remember picking up the x-ray and the doctor saying, you need to go home, pack your bags, and get to MD Anderson in Houston. We lived in Texas. And in fact, we lived about 20 minutes away from that hospital. And you need to get to the ER room immediately. Okay, and I see the x-ray, and there was no lungs, there's no spine, just this massive black mass on the x-ray. And I said, Mom, what's that? And she says, Alessandra, put that away. And I knew that wouldn't, in my heart, even at that age, I knew it wasn't a good thing. And we went home, packed my bags. My dad was in Saudi Arabia still. And my mom was by herself, alone. My brother was in boarding school when she found out that her daughter had stage 4 cancer.
Were you scared? Did you even know what you were dealing with?
No. Initially, I wasn't scared because I wasn't really understanding what it meant. I think it's kind of hard to swallow, right? But you feel what everybody else feels, right? And you can see the desperation on your parents' face. You can see the desperation on other people's faces.
You feel it.
And my mom trying to coach me through every step of the process, right? It really wasn't until you're inundated in it that it hit me. And I think that's when I was like, oh, I'm dying? That's kind of how it felt. And trying to compartmentalize that.
How long did it take you to beat it? Like, how long did you have to go through? Did you have to go through chemo?
To be honest, I'm not even sure sometimes. It was a long time. I tell my mom this all the time. I wrote in a journal while I had cancer, but the actual journey of cancer, there's some days I don't even remember. I was so bad when I would receive chemotherapy that they would put me under. So for a lot of my moment while I was battling cancer, I wasn't even lucid. I wasn't even on this planet. They put me in a separate room, administer the chemo, and I would pass out, wake up, throw up, and do it all over again. Oof. After surgeries and radiation. So I don't know. It seems like it was like this, but I know that it was like this. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of things I just don't remember. That's the truth.
So you went through that at 14. Now you're getting ready to go into high school, right? So where'd you go to high school in Texas?
Humble, Texas.
Humble, Texas.
Humble, Texas.
And what were you like in high school? Were you the life of the party like you are now? Were you quiet? Were you reserved?
No, I've always been one for theater arts and show and dance. And my mom had me in pageants since I was like teeny. So I was a quiet girl. I did play tennis. I did gymnastics. I always did sports too. But there was a part of me that really endured or really liked the creative side of who I was. I always told my mom that I was going to be like a little mini Mariah Carey. I just wasn't sure what stage I'd be on. Guess. Look now. I like to think I was life of the party. I think people would describe me as that. But it was also hard because what people saw wasn't what I felt, right? So what I felt was that I was always a new girl.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Like I was just always a new girl trying to fit in somehow. I was always a popular girl, but I never really found my place somehow. And that was something that I internally struggled with. I don't think anybody else would have seen that.
What about, all right, so at what point did you decide, man, I want to be a doctor one day. I want to be a chiropractor. At what point when did you realize that? My
college essay.
Your college essay. Where'd you go to school?
Why? It's so weird. I haven't had these questions. I'm like, wow, it's like
I didn't tell you I was going to ask those questions.
Come back, guys, come back. My college essay. Like all Hispanic mothers, if you're going to go to college, you got to pay for it. I don't get, my parents aren't going to pay for this and pave the way for me. So I had to apply for scholarships and I had to have this big college essay. And I called my mom and I said, what am I going to write about? And she's like, about, your joys or sorrows. And the first thing that came to mind was cancer. Yeah. And I still didn't know what to do. And so my mom said, okay, you need a little bit of inspiration. And at the time, she showed me a movie, Patch Adams.
Oh, my my God, I remember that movie. I don't even want to think about that movie. I'll start crying right now.
Yes. Who was the actor on that?
It was the guy, Robin Williams.
Yes, Robin Williams.
Oh my God, Allie, come on, we can't do this.
Gosh, I know. And I watched this movie, Patch Adams, and long story short, it's about a doctor who's this, he has a photographic memory, so he always get these A's, never had to study, and the board thought that he was lying. And they couldn't understand why he never studied because he was too busy playing in the cancer wards. Because he had an idea that part of treatment and happiness and longevity of increasing people's lives was happiness and laughter. And he would go into these oncology centers and put a little, nose in their shoes and make these children with cancer laugh and promote life to them. And I thought, wow, that's brilliant. You're telling me that I can heal people by making them smile? I'm in, right? I'm in. But I applied for medical school. I took my MCATs, and people don't know this. And I realized it wasn't for me. And I had a lot of complications, once again, from cancer. Someone goes, hey, why don't you check out chiropractic school if you really like that natural wellness thing? I said, oh, no, my mom's not really for chiropractic. We don't believe in chiropractors. Alessandra, we don't do chiropractic, Alessandra. Okay, we got in a huge argument over this. My mom's gonna kill me.
Or she's gonna probably kill me.
She's gonna kill me. And I met with a doctor. His name was Dr. Scott Self. Shout out to Dr. Scott Self. He's in Daytona Beach, guys. And he was the first person and the first doctor to approach my issues that I had as a result of radiation and chemo from a functional medicine point of view. What vitamins do you need to take? You need to get adjusted. You need to drink water. You need to exercise. And I'm thinking, how come no one's asked me this before? Right? And that's when I was like, I'm in. I'm going to chiropractic school, guys.
And you went to school in Daytona, right?
Went to school in Daytona.
Yeah. And then, so how did you end up here in South Florida?
See?
Is that bad? Don't act like it's so bad out here. Like, come on, we live in paradise over here, Allie.
I actually had a dream. I had a dream, and I had a job lined up out of school. I had a job lined up in Margate, New Jersey. And I was ready to graduate, went to go finish out my preceptorship there that summer. And lo and behold, it didn't work out. And I was left without a job. And even worse, like I said, Hurricane Sandy hit. And it left Atlantic City, that whole area of New Jersey, completely devastated. And I thought to myself, well, this place is gray anyway, so might as well get the heck out. Got my little Mini Cooper, 2 pillows. And my mom said, Alessandra, you need to come home. And I said, no. I refused because I knew if I went home, I would never leave. I knew I'd get caught there. And I called a friend up in West Palm and said, hey, can I crash on your couch? I'm going to go where the sun never stops shining, and I'm going to find a job. I'll pay you.
You've never been here before?
Never. And I get to West Palm Beach with my little car, unload, sleep on a couch, find a job on Craigslist, working as a chiropractic assistant, even though I was a doctor already, just to make ends meet at $10 an hour. I can't make that up. I really can't. I just knew that I had to make this work. I knew it. And here I am, 10 years later.
10 years later. Well, in those 10 years, I mean, you've gotten married. You've had a baby. All right, so tell me about your family. I know all about your family.
I know. I'm a lucky girl. I've been here for 10 years, and I look back on things, and I'm not even sure how I did it all. I started off in a small practice, actually in Palm Beach Gardens, and that's where I met my husband. His sister was my physical therapy assistant, and he'll tell you, he walked in, he was like, nope. And I'll tell you that he walked in, and I was like, no. Okay. We were friends. We were definitely friends. And he took me out for lunch, guys. A lunch. Not a dinner, guys. A lunch. He's going to kill me. And I think getting to know him over time, it was kind of like, all right.
You made him work, though. So I know the real story.
Right?
Like
he has a totally different version.
He had to work. He had to work for it. He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me for
He
saying this on
wined
the
and dined
podcast.
me on that lunch with cheese and olives and Prosecco on the beach. And it just was natural after that. We've been together ever since that first date. That's the truth. We've never separated from each other since that moment. And that's the honest to God truth. And now I'm a stepmother to his daughter, Ryan. She is 10 years old, but she's my kid as far as I'm concerned. I love her so much. And I've aided in her growth. And I have my own child now, Aiden. He is 7 months old, and he's the joy of our lives.
Oh, they're both beautiful.
They're
They're both
can't even
beautiful.
talk about him.
He is so scrumptious, and Ryan is like
she's
the
beautiful.
most beautiful little girl ever. I love
kind.
them both.
That's all you want in this world is a kind human.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're a parent, you're like, just give me a good one.
Yeah, you guys are doing good with that. So what does a typical day look like for Dr. Alessandra Colón? You get up at what? What time are you up in the morning?
Gosh, with a baby? I mean, is that even a question? That's not even a question.
6-month-old baby.
I was like, that's with a baby? 1, 2, 3, 5. I'm kidding. Typically, Dave knows my life since the show has changed drastically. And I'm very grateful to have a husband who supports me. So I'll wake up. He'll actually make me coffee, guys, every morning. You want to know a funny story? When we first met, I didn't drink coffee. And he would bring me coffee in the morning, and I would pour it out. Because I didn't want him to know that I didn't like coffee. But I didn't also want to tell him because I thought it was a sweet gesture that he would bring me coffee. After having a baby, I love coffee. So now he brings me my coffee in the morning. I go to work. I have an amazing staff. They are all just as beautiful, bright, and bubbly as I am. And I think that's another reason why I do so well with what I do, because I have a team that helps me to do that and support me. I usually spend my lunches working out or making time for me. So I carve out 2 hours of my day just to, in the middle of my day, get back to patients. I will somehow call my husband, be like, I'm on my way home. I need you to chop up some onions. And he will usually draw me a bath, guys. This is true.
In the middle of the day?
And this is when I get back home from work.
Oh, at home. And
I get home around like 7. He'll draw me a bath.
Oh, my goodness, Dave. I'm so proud of you right now, Dave.
Right? And it's my 30 minutes to decompress. It's really tough to give all day, and I'm honored to do it. But after 50 personalities in one day, it's a lot after 10 years. So I say I need to be present for my family. And my way of doing that is 30 minutes of bath time, and then I'm back on.
And then, okay, so you're super active. I know that, right?
Very.
What do you do when you're not working? What do you do for fun? What do you do to keep yourself sane? Because that's really hard.
It sounds so business what I'm about to say, but it's the truth. Everything in my life operates on a schedule. And that sounds so, right? But it's the only way to survive, because I'm not going to not be busy. And now I have a TV show. I'm even busier. I'm a mom. Now I'm not even sleeping. So yeah, my me time has to be scheduled. And I treat it like a meeting where, you know, when I go play tennis on a Tuesday morning or on a Saturday, I'll get my massage. Like, this is my time. It's a meeting. I have to make it. And that way I'm taking care of my health, because otherwise I'm just going to break down, right? So as silly as it sounds, I schedule time for fun. I schedule time for tennis and yoga and meditation and all the things that give back and energize me. And I think that's really important to do. And we don't advocate that enough.
So Ellie, who has made like a huge inspiration on you in your life? Like, who is like that person and you're like, God, just like touches my soul?
My mom.
Why?
My mom. She had it really, really rough. She had it really, really rough. I think this is something you could probably understand. I didn't grow up with a lot, you know, and I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I didn't grow up with, you know, wealth and riches. And if I didn't grow up a lot, my mom most certainly didn't grow up. My mom was one of 11 children in a 1-bedroom home. They didn't even know where they would sleep at night in different aunts and uncles' houses. They had, their toilet paper was a corn on the cob that you would rinse and save for your next time to go to the bathroom on the river. And I say this because every time I go through something tough, even her being a single mom and raising 2 kids, working 3 jobs, there were days she couldn't even put a 65-cent taco from McDonald's at the time on the table, and she wouldn't eat, right? And I think about, okay, I have it bad? No. If she can do it, I can do it. And if she had the means with nothing, I most certainly had the means. And every time I feel myself in this like cloud of imposter syndrome and I can't do it and I'm not worthy and all these things, I think, what would Edith say? She'd probably tell me to, come on, Alessandra, vamos, tenemos que hacer. And she has a way of just like powering through everything. She's gonna kill me. She's in her 70s now, guys. And this woman still walks every single day. She still works. She almost beat me in a marathon. Yes, 26.2 miles. She is the most energized, hardworking human being I know. It's the truth. She does it all. And she still cooks a meal every single night from the day that I was born, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's crazy.
I know her very well, you know, and she is like that. She's very driven.
Yeah, she really is.
And you do have a lot of her in you.
Yes. Oh,
you know, tons. So
you know
I see it. You know it like gives me goosebumps when you talk about her like that, because it's like, I just know it. I know how she is. I know how she treats us, your friends, right? Like I know how she treats us, and she's like that with us too.
She is. She's just as hard on me as she is on everybody else. Yeah. And I got to give that to her. She's not fake. She tells you what's on her mind. And that is something that I have learned from her. She is as bold as it gets.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. So all I have to do is be half of the person that she is, or do things maybe just slightly better. And I've won. I've won. Like she's my hero. She always has been.
So Allie, what kind of advice would you give someone that wants to become a chiropractor one day?
Ooh, get ready.
Get ready for what?
Get ready. It's a tough industry. It's a tough industry.
What is it? What's so tough about it?
Because it's not whatever. I'm not saying there's not money to be made in it. It's everything. It's emotionally tough because what people have to say about chiropractors. So you need to have thick skin. It's also tough because if you're looking to you think that you're going to be a doctor and you're going to make all these, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But chiropractic isn't what it used to be. And actually, doctoring isn't what it used to be. There's been a lot of revisions with insurance that tie doctors' hands. So you have to be very smart with how you make monies. And when you're coming out of college with $350,000 in student loans, how are you going to cover that? And you're most certainly not going to cover it on a startup that makes $80,000 a year. That's really tough. So then you have to become a business owner. And do they teach you anything about business in school? No, they don't teach you anything about business acumen in school. And I think that goes across the board for most professions and most doctors, not just chiropractors. So you really want to make it. You got to be tough. You got to be smart. You have to think ahead, and you really, really, really got to love it more than anything. Because if you don't love it, you're not going to want it enough. You need to love what you do. And I got to tell you that in the past 10 years of practice, I wake up every day. Woo, woo. And I still, oh my God, I still wake up so excited to touch my patients. I don't have a single day where I'm pushing paper and it's monotonous. Every patient, every day is so different. And it's like waking up like, oh, what's next? What's next? And for me, fine. I might not say do this or that, but if you love it, do it.
All right, last question. I ask everybody this question, right? It's the last question. It's easy. It's an easy one. Don't worry about it. So if you could go back and talk to little Ali Colón, little Alessandra, right? What would you tell her? That's 18-year-old Alessandra Colón.
I would tell her, 1, to be bold, and 2, don't worry about the judgment of others. Most people can only meet you as far as they've met themselves, right? And I wasted a lot of time in my life worried about what others thought about me. When the reality is now that as you get older and you get wisdom and you go through failures, right? And maybe opportunities that arise you didn't take, you look back on it and you realize the only person that you need to love is the person looking back at you in the mirror. So little Alessandra, I would tell her to continue loving herself more.
Well, Allie, this has been awesome. We got through it and we didn't cry, which is pretty good.
I almost did.
We both thought we were going to be crying in this interview. So before we go, is there anything that you want to tell everybody about Crack Addicts, or you want to tell them about the show? How do they watch it?
Yes.
What do you want them to do?
I'm getting so many questions. Is there a season 2? Are there more episodes? The answer is no, there are no more episodes. TBD on the season 2, but in order to help out and support, make sure to tune into Discovery, HBO Max, also TLC or the TLC app. Keep watching reruns, share TLC, like my page, share the page, and make sure to stay posted.
Well, Allie, thank you so much. It's been awesome. Really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
I am so proud of you, girl. Keep going. Keep going.
Oh, I'm trying.
You're just beginning to do big things. So very proud of you. Thank you for all you do.
Appreciate you.
Love you.
Love you.
Let me get a hug.